Hi. If you sit at a desk or a screen, then this is for you. I'm interested in practical and accessible tools for the body, so here are some stretches and some anatomy about you. We often sit in a way that almost slumps our body, and there is a lot that happens in this position that we don't talk about. So it's a lot of work, but sitting upright allows us, you and I, to breathe in a way that's more productive with less effort. What I mean by that is every time we breathe, there's a muscle here called the diaphragm. And when I inhale, it descends. When I exhale, I release that, and very passively, the breath leaves my body. So I inhale, oxygen comes into my body and travels in through my throat, down through my chest, into my lungs. It's actually the lungs inflating that you feel the diaphragm descend into the belly, and it kind of puffs up. A lot of people say belly breathing. But a lot of us don't breathe in our belly. Most of us, because of stress, anxiety, day-to-day culture in the West, we tend to breathe up here in the chest. So rather than the diaphragm being the thing to move the breath, we end up breathing into our chest through the side of the neck. This creates tension up and around the ears, the jaw, the throat. We start to kind of breathe in this small, narrow way up here in the chest. We take shorter breaths. The lungs don't inflate as much, so we don't get as much oxygen into the body. But additionally, we don't get rid of as much carbon dioxide, which is the byproduct of our body moving around in the world. And so, ultimately, what that does is it increases the acidity of our blood. Ellipsis, you start to see that people get matters of inflammation in their body. And then inflammation ultimately develops into more severe and difficulties of, let's say, a pathological nature. What I mean by that is people get diseases. And so it can be as simple as just allowing your breath to move. I'd like to walk you through the hyoid bone. The hyoid is a bone that's kind of like free-floating here in the throat. And a very easy way to find it is you can feel the bottom of your jaw. For the men, you've got an Adam's apple here. Well, just above that, you can kind of take your thumb and your peace fingers and just create a very gentle sort of brace of the windpipe and slide up. You want to have a kind of a loose grip and then just swallow. What you'll feel is this bony slide happening on the surface of your throat. It's a U-shaped slide. It actually kind of looks like this. And there's 4 muscles up and there's 4 muscles down, 4 on each side. So really 16, right? 4 and 4, 4 and 4. And these are called the superhyoids, above the hyoid, and the infrahyoids, below the hyoid. And this muscle kind of functions like an accessory diaphragm. So when we swallow, it descends. When we start to look at our screens a lot, it starts to get used to these muscles being tight. Head starts to come forward. Just by proxy of our breath not moving from our diaphragm and this kind of head forward position, we start to lose about 30% of the capacity of our lungs. And so, again, it begets more tension. Sitting upright in your chair as opposed to slumping down allows the spine to stack effortlessly. There's actually 2 curves. There's a primary and a secondary curve in the spine. When we're a baby, it's kind of like a primary curve. We look like a baby. Hence, if you're a yogi, child's pose. When we start to lift our head up in the crib and we start to engage the muscles of our neck, it creates a secondary curvature here in the spine. The same is true when we start to walk. And so as we lift our body up, the low back starts to create a curve. When we sit at the desk, if we allow our sit bones to really root down into the chair, well, that allows the spine to prop itself up and give the diaphragm freedom to move. So this hyoid can create tension. It can also unwind tension. So I'd like to walk you through a very simple stretch that's going to give you an experience of, in a sense, the hyoid, but also some of the deeper muscles here in the side of the neck. To start with, though, I want to give you an experience. Just stretch your arm out and keep your hand relaxed. As it comes out to the side, I want you to just take your head over to the opposite side. So I'm using my right hand and I've got my left ear going towards my left shoulder. Now, come back to center and I want you to engage your hand. Really brighten up the fingertips, just like a starfish. And then stretch the arm out. Turn the palm up to the sky. And then take that same ear and shoulder towards one another. Chances are you're going to feel a bit more of a stretch here through the arm all the way down through the forearm. The idea of this is called muscle recruiting. In a sense, all the muscles from the fingertips are being communicated through the forearm, and as they get tired, it starts to demand more effort for all of the muscles who can help and step in and help support that effort. This is also this underlying connective tissue that connects the whole body. It's called fascia, and as I engage my fingers, you can really see this stretch come all the way through my side body. We're going to use that principle, less the muscle recruiting and more the fascia, to just take our arm underneath the chair. I've got a great chair here and a little bit of shimmy to the side. Allows me to reach my hand underneath the chair and really kind of lock myself down. So again, I'm using my right arm and I'm hooking my arm down. So what this is essentially doing is depressing the shoulder, keeping it down. Now I'm going to take my left ear towards my left shoulder and I'm going to get a really nice stretch here through the side of my neck. This is a muscle called the middle scalene. When I breathe into my upper chest, what happens is muscles that aren't used to working to breathe are asked to breathe. And so this is an accessory breathing muscle. And there's 3 scalenes. There's an anterior, middle, and posterior. And so I'm going to create a change in the stretch by taking my gaze down and to the side away from my hand that's locked. And I'm going to get a really nice stretch kind of through the back section of my neck. For people that this is intense for, back off. There's an edge in stretching where we want to be proactive without being deconstructive, right? Ultimately, we're looking towards a greater health. And so being constructive with our stretch is helpful. Come back to center. And we're going to look up and towards the side that I'm stretching. And you're going to feel kind of like almost like a pinch that runs down the arm. There's a nerve bundle that exists between the anterior and middle scalene. And when this is tight, you can really feel that nerve start to get pinched and occluded, which just means that the signal's not being able to pass back and forth anymore. And so this very simple stretch, done 30 seconds each side, you can do 10, 10, 10 for each muscle. Middle, down into the away, up and towards, are all going to create a very nice openness through the chest and allow the shoulder to depress itself. Give a little bit of less of this and more of this. Do this both sides. That's a minute. Do that 2 or 3 times a day and your body's going to really start to thank you. It's going to allow the breath. You're going to become aware more of where you breathe. Really, the simplest way to do that is at night when you lay on your back. Just one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and watch your hand on your belly rise. As much as you can, this hand stays still. and you're going to become aware of what is called a diaphragmatic breath. I hope that this has helped you. I'm very excited to be sharing more of these tools and techniques that I've discovered, been taught, or have developed over the next while, and it's really just my dream that this is helpful to you, to your greater, more optimal health, and I hope this finds you well and that you are kind to yourself and to others. I say it every time. It feels like the kind of thing to not get complacent about, and it's also never going to be a trite statement, because honestly, if I can't be kind to myself, I'm really out of luck for anybody in my life. And so I am with you, and if you have any questions, slide into the DMs or just notes underneath, and yeah, may this find you well in all of the ways. Peace, love, and many blessings.